Thank you for tuning in. It's great that you're here. Today we'll explore the difference between a root tone and a tonic and how they relate to a tonal center. Let's start with defining what a tonic is. According to Wikipedia, the tonic is the first degree of a diatonic scale. So in short, it's the first note of a scale. Usually, that note also shows up in the bass when we reach the final chord of a composition. So let's remember that the tonic is part of a scale, and the scale defines the tones we use. That is everything we need to know to write diatonic music, because diatonic means nothing else than pertaining to a scale. Okay, checked. Although this information already defines a possible tonal center, we need musical context to be sure about it. And that's the moment where cadences come into play. Moving into the tonic via a distance of 5 chromatic steps sounds good and feels like a resolution. Here's the authentic cadence that moves into the tonic from 5 below. And there's the plagal cadence that moves into the tonic from 5 above. Both sound great and help define the tonal center around the C tonic. By the way, please check out the additional resources I link below if you want to dive deeper into cadences and how to use them most effectively in your compositions. Now, let's be a bit more interesting, maybe something like this. First, I want to mention that if I want to blur the shape of a chord, I stack some 5 intervals on top of each other. That always sounds a bit ambiguous and leaves room for emotional interpretations. Look at this spot. I start with the E, go up to the A, to the D, and finally to the G. They are all spread within 5 chromatic steps. You can even put those 5s in octave positions for stronger lines, but let's come back to the tonal center. The last few bass notes prepare the movement to the tonic, and it feels like home, hence the title of this short piece. That's all because of the cadences. So, to recap, this piece is based on C Ionian. We have a tonic and created a tonal center with cadences. Let's do some fancy things that you won't see in any teaching book about diatonic theory, shall we? Let's look at each bass note separately and decouple it from the C tonal center. In fact, I want to use the Ionian on each bass note, at least the ones that are not stacked 5s. They are a bit special, and I'll likely cover those in a dedicated video. So this D note will have the D Ionian above, the E note will have the E Ionian above, and so on. Before we listen to the next example, let me say that this technique can lead to some spicy and dissonant results. For demonstration purposes, I didn't adjust any of the dissonant spots after the fact. But please remember that you don't have to treat every bass note separately. However, it's an entertaining experience and a great way to discover some fresh turns that you most likely wouldn't have found otherwise. Let's do this. According to my ears, this spot here over the D note would need some special attention, but you can hear how this all deflects from the overall tonal center. Sometimes the listener gets confused by some of these changes, so it's your creative decision to keep the ones you like. This brings me to the definition of root tones. These tones are only related to themselves, and in interval theory, we refer to them as entry points into temporary tonal centers. We can strengthen these tonal centers by introducing cadences after the fact and creating a clear musical context around those root tones. That's a brilliant technique for extending musical ideas and deriving more music from just a few bars. And last but not least, they offer the most freedom for fluent compositions outside of a musical key. Just for fun, I changed the scale above the labeled bass notes to the Dorian, and now it all has a sad feeling. And this just scratches the surface of what is possible. Every root tone can have its dedicated scale or even no scale at all. If you're anything like me and find these things fascinating, you'll love the additional materials I link to below. You are the author of that story and you decide. Please stay connected as there's more cool stuff to come. Many thanks for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day. Best always,